My name's Daisy. I'm part of the Poverty Truth Commission facilitation team.
That is a mouthful, isn't it?
Isn't it? Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't have to say that. I'm Paul. I'm a friend of the Commission. I've been getting to know people over the last sort of year, 18 months, and we, together, are going to be a double act, and we're going to be your hosts today. Well, if you noticed behind you on the big screen, there were some fascinating images, a selection of images from our journey from the last 18 months. If you were here last year, you'll have compared your hairdo and your outfit. I've lost a floral shirt and gained a beard. It's been a year since we were all together in this room. I don't know about you, but I'm getting a sense of déjà vu. But it really is a year on. And each of us, in one way or another, are a little bit changed. Certainly a little bit older, maybe a little bit wiser, but I'll leave you to be the judge of that. And with a year's worth of experiences thrown into the mix. Now, you might think that Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole has changed a bit too. Or maybe it's stayed the same.
So BCP still has its challenges with inequality. With places like Sandbanks, Highcliffe and Southbourne right next door to areas of high deprivation. That inequality in BCP looks like a 13-year difference in life expectancy, depending on which neighbourhood you live in. It looks like school attainment varying from way high above national average to well below national average, depending on where you live. In June, just last month, Citizens Advice saw a 121% increase in financial crisis issues and a 126% increase in charitable support and food bank referrals. So this rise in the cost of living is affecting people all across our neighbourhoods, with many families going without 3 or more essentials like showers, toiletries, a warm home or food. It's said that so many of us are only 2 missed mortgage payments away from being made homeless. And with recent news of interest hikes, this is more possible than ever. Struggling against poverty is something that any of us can face. Poverty Truth Commissions have been taking place across the whole country in areas where community, together with power, respond to poverty and inequality in the places where they live. For the last 18 months, we've had our own Poverty Truth Commission in Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole, the first ever on the South Coast.
So why a celebration event? We're here to make visible, as best we can in this time, work that's been happening over the last 18 months. Yeah, okay, we could write a report and email it to you all. Hey, but where's the fun in that? We'd much rather gather you together to enjoy some pastries and tell you what happened in person. I love the saying, there comes a point when you've got to put skin on it. So, today we want to share with you what our Poverty Truth journey has been like. Our commissioners who are among you on the different tables would like to share their experiences of the process and what is emerging now. And, sneakily, but openly, we want to plant a few seeds along the way. So, let's crack on. First of all, I'd like to invite one of our commissioners, Sue, to take to the floor. I love that. It's like Strictly, isn't it? She's going to be doing the Paso Doble. Anyway, Sue's going to come and she's going to share a bit more with you about what the last 18 months has looked like for our commissioners.
Round of applause for Sue.
Hello, everybody. Hi. Thank you for coming. I'm Sue, one of the community commissioners. A year ago, almost to the day, I stood here and shared what a Poverty Truth Commission is. I started by explaining that a Poverty Truth Commission starts with the understanding that lasting social change happens only when those who have experienced struggle participate in generating that change. That nothing about us without us is for us. I shared that a Poverty Truth Commission seeks to build relationships over time between people who have struggled against poverty and those in decision-making positions within civic and business institutions. and together they learn about the complexities of poverty and explore possible solutions. Well, that was the theory, and I want to tell you how it turned out. With some help from my fellow commissioners, I'm going to walk you through what happened in practice at Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole's first Poverty Truth Commission. Initially, we got together as community commissioners. We got to know each other, shared our different experiences of life and individual struggles against poverty, and we explored the most common issues that we wanted to focus on. After 4 months of meeting and gelling as a group, we then launched our commission. Some of you might remember that event. For some of us, it was the first time we'd been on a stage. We shared our stories with the audience through poetry, videos, a Monopoly game, songs and interviews. Our story was told. Following the launch, our civic and business commissioners from organisations across Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole joined us and added to the story. All right. Well, we met every month in a great big circle. Labels and lanyards were left at the door, and we got to know each other as people, fellow travellers. Slowing down, we shared our stories, our experiences of accessing the system. This applied to both the community commissioners and those working in that system. One of our catchphrases was listening with attention and speaking with intention, with which we started every conversation. We also used listening pieces, affirmations and check-ins, ensuring everyone felt safe and had their say. In between our 4 commission meetings, we met up more casually for coffee, meals. These meetups were invaluable in getting to know each other better and finding common ground. We visited local projects and travelled further afield to meet other Poverty Truth Commissioners at the Poverty Truth Network gathering in Derby. Over time, we all identified 3 important issues we wanted to focus on deeper as a commission. Those issues are humanising the process, housing and home, and empowered communities. We formed groups around these issues and continue to listen with attention and speak with intention. We continue to share our stories, exploring on ideas on how we could respond together, sustained by much pizza and coffee. We created an ideas checker to stay on track, so along the way we kept to the principles of listening deeply, building relationships, shifting power and taking time. In our groups, we made sure we looked through the lenses of community commissioner wisdom, diversity and inclusion, long-term thinking and mental health. After travelling this road of enlightenment, we now move into the embedding phase, starting with this very celebration of the journey so far. So what's going to happen next? We will be taking our experiences of doing things differently into our communities, into our workplaces and our organisations. We'll be putting into action some of the ideas we've been talking about, ideas that you will hear about later on today, some that you may want to join in with. This is not the end. This is just the beginning, and the beat goes on. Nothing about us without us is for us. Thank you.
There's a little note in my margin here to encourage you to really be enthusiastic and affirming of people who speak, because Sue, as you can tell, she's been happy to do that. For some of the commissioners, it's been a big step during this year, finding their voice and being prepared to do things in public. So feel free to be very enthusiastic, unrestrained, ungentlemanly, unladylike in the best sense of that when you are affirming people. So we've heard what this process has looked like practically, and now it's time to hear what it's meant for some of the other commissioners. So I'm going to invite a number of them to make their way up onto the stage, settle as though they're on Good Morning Britain or other morning shows are available. And if I can invite up Phoenix, Phil, Kate, Carrie, Debbie and Alistair. So as they make their way up, they know that in some way or another they're going to be asked what sort of stands out in their experience of Poverty Truth Commission and what seed they're going to take away. But the introduction is Debbie, you're going to make your way towards me, home in on me, there you go. And before I put them on a grill, as it were, and ask them their questions in the nicest possible way, Debbie, do you want to come up over to here? Because Daisy and I didn't bite any of you last year, they allowed us to be a little bit nearer to you. So, Debbie, you've got a great handle on what this has meant. This is yours.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Debbie, Community Commissioner. It's called the PTC and Me. I've lived in various extremes of poverty for most of my life. I've experienced homelessness, mental illness and alcoholism, which has prevented me from being able to keep a job longer than a few months. I never had the bank of mum and dad. I brought up my 2 sons alone with no financial help from either of their fathers. My own life experience and the toxic attitude of society towards poverty left me with no hope of improvement. I felt powerless and weak. I was frustrated, despondent and angry. About 18 months ago, I met Kath, who told me about Poverty Truth Commission. Come and join us, she said. It'll be fun, she said. I wasn't convinced. But anything with poverty and truth in the same sentence sounded interesting. Kath's excitement and enthusiasm for the cause was either genuine or she was completely bonkers. Either way, I was intrigued to learn more. I went along to the first meeting and came away with high hopes and great expectations. This was a revolution. We'd go down in history as the movement that eradicated poverty. We'd rival the Age of Enlightenment in significance. We'd be bigger than Rousseau. My initial grandiose optimism lasted a few days. It was soon replaced by a more realistic cynic in me. I went along to the next few meetings reluctantly, mostly because I didn't want to let Kath down. The meetings usually involved a talking object passed around to aid listening, lots of paper being stuck on walls, and a big drawing of a road. We drank coffee and talked to each other in various size groups. Everyone was lovely and the facilitators were great, but I thought we're supposed to be tackling a serious issue. I'd been to 3 meetings and we were nowhere near a solution to the poverty problem. I was confused, suspicious, and disappointed. After years spent living in poverty, going in and out of rehab, in and out of psychiatric hospitals, I was sick and tired of waiting for the world to change. I wanted to do something meaningful, powerful, and instant. But who were these people, and what did they want from me? We had nothing in common, and I did not fit in. I decided to leave, but first I talked to Kath about it. We had coffee, and she listened to me complain about everything for an hour. Then I had lunch with Angela, and she listened to me complain about everything for an hour. It had been a long time since I'd felt like I'd been heard and my views had been taken seriously. It felt empowering. Leading up to the launch event, I was still a bit cynical about what we'd achieve. I didn't feel like I was part of the group because I didn't trust what that would mean. I still felt that a lot of time had been wasted sitting around and talking. and I was eager to see some concrete results. The launch event was a turning point for me. When I saw the commitment that everyone had towards a common goal, and I saw how well everyone worked as a team, I finally understood why we'd spent so much time talking and sharing and doing what I thought were pointless activities. I realised that everything we'd done up until that point had been carefully planned and designed to achieve the unity needed to make the launch a success. PTC was about building relationships and establishing trust in order to achieve long-lasting solutions. It wasn't about instant results. It was about a process and establishing a strong foundation to build on. I needed to start trusting the process. I was very nervous about the business commissioners joining us. I had serious problems with figures of authority. Experience had taught me that the world was a cruel and uncaring place. People in positions of power were not to be trusted. I was everything they disapproved of, and I believed I had nothing to offer them. Asking me to have civil conversations with these people as if we could work together for the common good was too much to expect. But despite my reservations, I had decided I should trust the process. Over the next few months, I learned that the business commissioners were actually decent people. They were genuinely interested in our stories and wanted to use our voices to help improve the way their jobs were done. Through our sharing of positive and negative experiences, the business commissioners could keep doing what worked well and change any practices that didn't work so well. Against my expectations, we did establish a mutually beneficial working relationship. For me, the PTC has been a personal journey of discovery. It's been a bumpy road, and I very nearly gave up on it a few times. I wanted to rush in and save the world, with ill-informed, half-baked ideas that would crumble into dust when put into practice. I've learned a lot about the nature of change and the benefits of a longer considered approach to problem solving. I've learned that professionals aren't all monsters, and most of them do care. I've learned that life isn't always comfortable or satisfying for them, and they have their own challenges to face. They have lives and identity apart from their job titles, and most of them do have a conscience. I'd been so wrapped up in my own shame and lack of trust, I was so afraid of being judged and rejected, that I failed to notice I was judging them. I learned an uncomfortable truth about myself. Even though I lack self-esteem and confidence, I can still be a bit stuck up and judgmental myself at times. I'm grateful to the PTC for everything I've experienced. I've accepted that we can't eradicate poverty instantly, and we probably won't have the same impact as the great philosophers of old. But I'm proud of what we've begun and what we've achieved together. I'm grateful for the wonderful people I've met. Spending time with all of you has been rewarding, inspiring, and a genuine privilege. Perhaps we won't save the world, but we can have a bloody good try.
Debbie. I've been at all sorts of conferences and stuff over the years in different ways. That's been filmed. I wish I'd had access to it years ago in the work that I've been doing, because I think what you've just seen is that there's been a searing honesty and a robustness to this programme because they've taken time and because of the process. Once more for Debbie. so now I get the chance to host the panel. There aren't exactly cameras all over us. I'm a little bit worried about this thing that I've sat in. If when I stand up to do my next bit, it's still attached to me, because I'm a gentleman of a broader beam, you are allowed to shout in a very childish way, "It's behind you." Okay, would you like to meet the panel? Okay, so the ice cream that has got a yellow cream to it, just go along and tell us briefly who you are, how you got involved in this, very briefly, and then I'll have some sharper questions for you. You start.
Hello, so I'm Kate Parker and I work with Shelter, and I've been part of this commission as a Civic and Business Commissioner.
Hello, I'm Phoenix and I'm part of the BCP Commission.
Hello everyone, I'm Phil Morgan. I've got the longest job title that's been developed, so I'm the Interim Head of Nursing, Therapies and Quality for Mental Health, Learning Disabilities, Children, Young People and Families. Thank you. And I'm one.
Hi, I'm Carrie and I'm a Community Commissioner.
And I'm Alistair and I work for a charity called FaithWorks and I'm one of the Civic and Business Commissioners.
Great, if you can pass the ice cream back to Phil. This is going to be a great act of coordination between you. Phil, obviously we're trying to sort of get underneath what it's been like for all of you coming from different backgrounds. Can you tell us a wee bit about your experience of entering the room on what was day one for you and how it was getting to know others, etc.?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I was a little bit late. So after it wasn't, I'm often late for things, but I wasn't late. I was late invited to the commission. After the launch event, that mental health obviously had been identified as a key area. So the initial meeting that I joined was at AFC Bournemouth. And I really felt quite trepidatious in terms of what I was walking into. I think lots of what Debbie said in terms of what's this going to be like? Is this going to be meaningful? How are we going to make that change? And I think that sense of responsibility in terms of being a commissioner and coming into a process like that and being able to make this meaningful and a meaningful change. So I felt quite anxious sort of walking in, but the response from people and how everyone has respected each other, respected the process. I mean, the facilitation has been phenomenal, actually, in order to do that, because I think in some ways the facilitation has been a bit invisible, which has enabled people to get on and make connections. But it's made that, and again, I'm just copying what everyone else has said, but being able to take that deep listening has been really important, because I think there's that urgency of wanting to do stuff, but actually that hearing has been the most fundamental thing.
Great, thank you. Hold on to the ice cream for the moment. Thanks for that. Quite an eye-opener, I think, for community commissioners to realise that the civic and business communities had a high level of anxiety before they joined in the process. The next bit, we're going to have a little bit of video, so get ready to look for the big screen. The person you're going to hear from is sat here, Carrie. She's been a great member of the team, and let's hear about her experiences.
I'm Carrie. I'm one of the Community Commissioners for the Poverty Truth in BCP. This experience has really opened my eyes to show I can make a difference, I can make a change, and I matter. When I shared my story, it was quite daunting, but I knew I had friends in the room that supported me, especially from the Poole ladies, as we're called, and I would consider them to be even closer friends now than when we started the process. And also Kath from the facilitation team. I also have been given the opportunity of being nominated to represent the BCP at a national level, and I feel that's a really nice and positive thing to be able to do. It felt really powerful when the civic and business saw the injustice and were passionate about making change, particularly after hearing my story. Due to years of negativity and always being put down, I struggled to see the fact that people see potential in me and are trusting me to make big decisions or make, my voice heard. I've been given opportunities as well to share my story further afield and to gather some lovely feedback, and even been offered jobs or positions from it as well. So it's been very positive. I'm really looking forward to the embedding stage. I'm enjoying working closely with some of the influential people who I now consider to be friends. I feel extremely privileged to be part of the first Poverty Truth Commission in Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole. One of the biggest things that I will take away from this is friendships, being a part of something life-changing. And I really hope these friends will be friends with me for a long time, and we will grow together and work together.
Carrie, thank you very much. A round of applause. I think Kate needs the microphone next, so if you pass the microphone along to Kate. Kate, great meeting you. You were very daring and came to one of my creative sessions. I could see the fear in your eyes as you came in, but you were brilliant. Do you want to say a little bit about the values and principles of the PTC?
Yeah, so the thing that's been really important to me, and I've heard it already in this room, is about listening. Listening, about trusting the process, about respecting each other. But for me, the listening has been an amazing discipline, because actually my brain is one of those that I hear things and I want to jump straight in with a response and with ideas and what are we going to do? But actually sitting and listening and absorbing properly, understanding, and sometimes letting other people speak, which for me is quite something.
Great. Well, we're going to get you to pass that microphone just to your left now. I was brought into the piece as a sort of provocative friend and a slightly mad poet, and it was my pleasure, therefore, to meet among a number of fellow creative Phoenix. And Phoenix, on the big screen, we're going to see and hear a poem that you wrote, and then I've got a question for you as well.
Hi, I'm Phoenix. I'm reading you a poem today of my journey and experience, how it has felt, how it feels. I was invited to join Poverty Truth, PCP. Felt unsure, wondering what it was all about. Coming to it, I was feeling nervous, not knowing what to expect. Gradually becoming involved, realising I could use my voice. During the commission, it boosted my confidence, speaking my mind and what matters to me the most. Met business civic commissioners for coffee, the people who could help with PIP, finding my voice, having the knowledge for support to appeal the PIP decision, which I now got. The commission is where I contributed, being part of the group to make a difference, bringing my own knowledge and experience to end the stigma of poverty, which that's what it's all about. Enjoyed representing BCP at the national event, stepping up to making sure LGBTQIA+ issues are remembered, becoming a co-lead, making sure that me and others are equally heard. I stuck to it, even if it come too overwhelming, as I am important and a voice in this process.
Phoenix, it's been a particular joy for me, not just to see how you've contributed in the sessions, but I know that during the last year I've watched you find your feet in the creative community, performing more widely around our area. You and I have talked about groups that we both feel passionate about, who we want to make sure are represented in all these sort of processes. What sort of particular group would you like to see better represented and their voice well heard?
Well, for me, I want the LGBT community be heard, people of colour as well to be heard, and anyone who has struggles like the rest of us in poverty.
Our struggles are painful sometimes, but they often soften our hearts and just make our vision more sharp, like they have with you, looking out for people. Can you pass that? Well done. Can you pass that along, right along the end there to Alistair? Alistair, master of brevity. Talking about systems and that, it can all sometimes seem very hard and impersonal. From your perspective, what would be your angle on that and how that can change?
Yes, thanks, Paul. It's even this morning, I saw how the system can be broken down when people are alongside people. So 12 months ago, it would have been brave for some of the community commissioners to sit next to one of the civic commissioners and just have a bit of a chat. We've all said that. Actually, this morning, you came in here and people were having those sort of chats. Where it's interesting, throughout the course of this year, you've seen people admitting to each other going, I'm really struggling with this. And actually saying, is it all right if we go walk across the room to one of the other business commissioners who might have a bit of an idea how to fix it and find that it gets sorted? And what it says to me is people need people. It's the blindingly obvious, really. But actually, when you know somebody, when you trust them, when you've built relationship and had time with them, it is much easier to go, you know what, I'm really struggling with this. Can you help? And actually, there's a trust relationship built there. And I think that's something that, as those of us involved in the wider system or partnerships, that's a real thing to challenge us and to get us to think about how we can make that a reality on a wider scale.
Great stuff. Sort of, you pretty much reached my... I won't rob your applause, well done. They'll want you to curtsy next. Any one of you, really. I don't know, Phil, you started off. Looking at, these are our partners, they're fellow travellers with us, they're not really an audience, but what message or, as it were, seeds would you like to see them take away today?
I think the fundamental to this is about power and recognising where power lies, acknowledging the privilege and power that we have within service and institutions, but also that we can't achieve what we want to deliver without sharing and giving away some of that power and working with people so that they're not just that people's voices are heard, but people feel that their voice has value and that they're able to contribute. And I think lots of our structures don't support that. And I think it's a way of not doing this in a sort of tokenistic way, but really having that deep commitment to dismantle some of the things that cause blockages for people's voices.
Thank you. That really draws this bit together, yeah. Anyone would think we'd planned this, but it's not so tightly scripted because, in a sense, you brought us right round to what Debbie said at the beginning of this section, that everyone involved in this has not wanted to be tokenistic. Take our time, build the trust. Great stuff. Will you show your appreciation for the panellists? They make their back. If you give Daisy the yellow ice cream on your way. Down there. Take that, give it to Daisy. Thanks, guys. Brilliant. They know the way. Star of TV. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, everybody, for being on that panel. So, what we would like to do now... Oh, get this mic sorted. Yes. So, what we want to do now is give you a bit of a flavour of what our discussions have been like in our task groups. And to do that, I would like to introduce just through a little game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a slide on the screen behind me. I'm going to show that slide for 15 seconds, and then I'm going to take it away. And then as a table, I would like you to see how many of these things you can remember and write down on your cog together. So I'll say that one more time. I am going to show you a slide with some things on it, and I'm going to show that slide for 15 seconds, and then I'm going to take it away. So I don't know if you...
Pens down.
Yeah, that's it. Well spotted. Oh, no cheating here. Thank you. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to write the things down when the slide has gone away, and we'll see how many of those things on the slide you can remember. Are you ready? Get a little bit of noise. Are you ready? Yeah, lovely. Slide is on for 15 seconds. Oh, the silence. The concentration in your eyes is magnificent. Okay, and I think that is your time. Right, that's your lot. Write down how many on your cog, how many of those things you can remember. You have 2 minutes. On the big cog, yeah, on the big cog on the tables. Okay, time it. And that is your time. So that's your 2 minutes. You've had your 2 minutes. There we go. Pens down, everybody. All right. So I'm going to put the slide back up on the screen, and I want to see how many of those you remembered. Here they are. So we have your friendship bracelet, your owl, a tree, your ear, a light bulb. I want you to tick how many of those you've got. 11. Okay, right. Did anybody get all 12? You got a 12 over here? 12 over here? Oh, observation. Over here? Right, I should have made this harder. We should have put more things on it. Okay, how many people got 11? We've got 11 down here. Brilliant. Well done. 10. 10. Well done. At the back as well. 9. Any 9s? 8. Did anyone get below 8? No, of course, you're all an incredibly observant bunch. Well done. So that was just a little game to kind of warm us up and to get us moving. So you might be wondering why on earth we've selected those items. And these items represent the sections of the Poverty Truth Commission Ideas Checker that we created. You may remember Sue talking about the Ideas Checker as she walked us through the journey that we've been on this year. So we've used this Ideas Checker machine when thinking about ideas that have come out of the various Poverty Truth Commission task groups. So you put an idea in at the top, and you reflect on the cogs as it goes through the machine. Are we looking at our idea through the lenses of community wisdom, inclusion and diversity, long-term thinking, and supporting the mental health of all involved? How does this idea shift power dynamics? How does it see power being shared or flipped on its head? How does this idea give time to listen deeply? Is it giving the time needed for the community to share their wisdom in a way that matters and be a meaningful part of decision making? How is this idea relational? Does it go beyond the language of service users and clients? And does it give the opportunity for people to really get to know each other? How does this idea nurture the soil? This one's a bit of a metaphor. It was brought to us by Commissioner Allen, and he said in our session, if you want to grow a forest, you don't start by growing trees. You start by tending to the plants that nurture the soil, making the right environment through planting moss and grasses. Without good soil, when you go to plant a tree, it will probably die. And people will say, we tried it, it was too hard, trees don't grow here, it's too difficult. So start simply with the moss and the grasses, with those future trees in mind. So have you clocked the metaphor there? The big trees are those big culture-changing ideas, and the moss and the grasses are those simple and small actions that help you get there. So going through and asking all these questions, how do we actually do all this in practice? Well, to help you explore this a little bit further, we have an activity for you to do on your tables to see how an idea might develop with different cogs in mind. So to do that, we have a scenario that has been brought to us by our Housing and Home Task Group. Imagine you are a housing association team exploring a new way to engage with residents in younger households. This is the scenario we'd like you to consider. How would you shape this work if you were thinking about this scenario, focusing in on the cog of spending time to listen deeply, or maybe you're focusing on the cog of shifting power, or nurturing the soil, or being relational? So in a moment, I will ask you to turn over your big colourful cog that you've listed all these items on, and you will find out which cog your table is going to be focusing on. Then, as a table, we would like you for 15 minutes or so to reflect on those things, to reflect on this challenge with your cog in mind. And what you might talk about is some ideas. What you might talk about is things that you might consider when you were thinking about your cog. Or you might have more questions off the back of it. All of that is good. So pick a scribe on your table to take some easy notes, because we'd love to get some feedback after the 15 minutes. And remember to listen with attention. Everyone's contributions are important and valuable in this discussion. And speak with intention. Say what's important while giving time and space for others to speak. You can turn your cog over now to see which cog you're focusing on. We'll have the scenario on in the back, and you have 15 minutes for your discussion.
Not in the party setting, but everything that's got to be based around why anytime to talk to the parents so that the children are being maybe looked after. That's where I hang out. I'm not going to have a project in many years. I used to work over there.
centre stage. That was always, that's
They are really fun and they bring people together. And then that's it. Okay, if you'd like to draw your conversations to a close. It's been brilliant to see people around the tables leaning in. That's always a good sign of a conversation, is the leaning in. There's a lot of leaning going on here. So we'd love to just get a few bits of feedback. One of the things that I like to ask for is the golden nuggets of your conversation. So we'd like to go around each cog and see if anyone's got a golden nugget they'd like to share from their cog. There is a temptation here to, when you get the mic, repeat the entire conversation that you've just had, but we don't have 15 minutes for each table, so we're going to keep it to one golden nugget for I think, yeah, from one from each cog. So which ones have we got over here? Yellows. Power, shifting and sharing power. Has anybody got a golden nugget they would like to share? Tom, what's your golden nugget from shifting and sharing power?
Asset-based community delivery.
Yeah. Asset-based community delivery or development, ABCD. Yeah, big fan of that. Brilliant. Asset-based community development. Any other golden nuggets from shifting and sharing power?
We were saying about different ways that people can contribute. So Lucy was saying, you know, because looking at younger people, if you've got lots going on, you're working as well, sometimes events take, you know, having different ways that people can come and take part. And then the real golden nugget at the end of lots of talking was we said, we did. So not you said this, we went away and did that, but we said it together and we did it.
That's brilliant. Thank you. Any other golden nuggets from sharing power? We can move on. There's one over here. Mel's pointing on the table here. A golden nugget from the yellow table at the back.
Who's your spokesperson? One of you, quick. Snooze or you lose.
Sorry. We had a lot of conversations on relationship, focusing on connecting, and actually just asking someone to be involved might just be the first step. It might take days, weeks, months for someone to feel confident enough to trust to be involved.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is going to be the very interesting thing with all these cogs is actually you might find, oh, we said that on our cog and we had a different cog to you. And there's a lot of overlapping that will happen here. What have we got next? Greens, nurturing the soil. Are there any golden nuggets that you would like to share from nurturing the soil? God.
I like the speedy response.
With the support of our amazing team, I'll share our golden nugget, which was that the nurturing the soil for this housing association would be to make sure that at the beginning you've got all the things that are necessary to actually follow through on what you come up with. So you need to have commitment from the leadership and you need to have funding ready beforehand. But then you also need to be doing the bottom up, building relationships slowly and building trust.
Yeah, thank you. Any other golden nuggets from nurturing the soil? Anyone? Don't have to, don't feel the pressure. It's quite all right. Brilliant. So, being relational. That's the blues over here. Sorry, Paul, I'm going to make you run. What were your golden nuggets?
I think it all starts with empathy. So Sue came up with a brilliant suggestion that to overcome even the age gap sometimes you can share that you've had similar experiences. You've gone through some of those parenting challenges and just admitting that is the first step to understanding what people might be going through.
Thank you.
One more golden nugget from being relational. Oh, we've got two. Oh, two quick ones if they can be.
Basically what we said was about like appealing to their interests. So you find an activity you can do together, you do that, and then through that you start to talk about the housing association, but first you build the relationship with them. So, yeah.
Great. Well done. Dot, were you? No.
It's a good summary for start with fun. Big fan of starting with fun. There was one over here. Yes.
Thank you. There
Like ours was quite similar to this young lady's, that find something fun to do together and have informal chats which are not based on problem solving to build the relationship.
Thank you. Lovely. And then we'll go on to taking time to listen deeply, the pink cogs, your golden nuggets from taking time to listen deeply. Sue.
Thank you. Following really similar themes about having fun, we started with the notion that we're going to have a party and invite everybody to it, because that's the way to start to identify what people's issues are, what their barriers are, what their interests are, and also try and start to build that sense of community. But we all recognise that not everyone's going to come to a party, and so we have to, as well as that, identify other ways, particularly around peer engagement, because we thought that we're all too old on this table to be able to communicate properly with people who are possibly younger.
Thank you. One more golden nugget from the spending time to listen deeply. Here we go. Alex down here.
Pretty much the same, but we were really focused on creating lots of spaces, but on regular, so that it wasn't just a once a year thing. So Marie told us about something that they do in France. What was it called?
Oh, it's called Fête des Voisins. It's a party with your neighbours once a year all over France.
Yeah, but then building to having regular things throughout the year. So fire pits and activities for younger children to free up the parents so that they can have meaningful conversations, not just with the housing association, but with each other. So when there's neighbour disputes, trying to offer activities where the generations can come together as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much, everybody, for leaning in and throwing your hands into this activity. We wanted to give a flavour of what our conversations have been like over the last year, and this was the thing that we came up with. These cogs, as we said, this scenario was brought to us by the Housing and Home Task Group, and so these cogs are full of useful things that we'd love to go back and share with them. So thank you very much.
If this was an airplane journey, this is pretty much the point at which they're beginning to say, time to put your tray tables up and, last trip to loo, etc. So we'll be coming into land fairly soon. But in this next bit, we want to ask the critical question, what's emerging from this whole process? We want to share some of the things that are emerging. And the key thing is that they will continue over the next 5 months and beyond. And at this point of the process, the Civic and Business Commissioners have a really important role, because they're the people who've got the power and the clout to carry these things into their organisations, the boards they sit on, and the working groups they are part of. So for this next little section, I'm going to ask Kieran and Sam to carefully, in their high heels, make their way up the second set of stairs onto a sofa. And while they're beginning to do that, that's it, make your way up. Make yourself, you don't have to have a sofa each, you can sofa share, but hopefully you won't need to sofa surf. But also too, along the way, we would have loved to have had with us today Jess, the Chief Operations Officer at BCP Council. She wanted to be here, she regrets that she couldn't, but she has put together a very short video message for us, which we're going to see now.
Hi, I'm Jess Gibbons, Chief Operations Officer for BCP Council. I'm sorry I can't be there today with you to celebrate the end of BCP Property Truth Commission's first year. It's been an absolute privilege to be part of that journey, and I've learned and grown throughout the year. I've learned to pause, listen, and resist jumping to action. I've been reminded of the power of human connection and deep listening. I've come to understand the art of great facilitation that supports all voices to truly be heard. I've recognised that we can move towards stronger communities where we work together, even if we don't always agree on the detail. I'm committed to taking this learning into my future work, supporting BCP to involve our communities in how we make decisions. I will work to enable our staff to be facilitators who build connection and help ensure all voices are heard. And I'll take that learning into our work with partners, for example, the Place Integrated Care System. I'm really looking forward to continuing and embedding the BCP Poverty Truth work. And I hope you are too. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thanks very much to Jess. One of the things that we did in one of our little creative sessions where we were trying to bring in some light and shade, as it were, to getting our message over, we took the old song from the musical, My Fair Lady, you know, the bit, wouldn't it be lovely, and all that. And very quickly we realised there were all sorts of hooks in that for issues that come on our agenda. You know, housing, supportive relationships, winter fuel allowance, all those sort of things. And one of our community commissioners wrote a poem off the back of that. Yeah, relief now, Rona. Come and share the little poem that you did. Rona! You've won them over already, I told you would.
Right, this is my poem. Wouldn't it be lovely? All I want is a nice home somewhere with lots of comforts that we can share. Nice bath and somewhere to wash my hair, oh wouldn't it be lovely? To go round shops without a care and buy lots of clothes for me to wear. I need to wear to keep me warm when it's so cold out there. Oh wouldn't it be lovely? Cuddle up in a nice soft bed, warm and cosy like I just said. No cares, no money worries anymore. Oh, wouldn't it be lovely?
Well done, Rona. Rightly getting hugs off the crowd. It's a really big deal to do that. And it was great to see her perform. Right. It looks like up here that the question I'm going to ask you guys is, the interview panel will see you now. But in fact, I'm going to try and just tease out in the short time we have what you see emerging from the groups that you've been in. Kieran, I'm going to start with you. What's emerging from your task group, which of course was housing and home? You'll need a microphone.
Brilliant. So I actually had a few words prepared, so I was just going to read them out. But yeah, I mean, the worst thing about speaking at these things and going quite towards the end is that you have to listen to all the incredible speakers beforehand. And Debbie and Rona, your poem, I love you so much. That's so good. I think Rona's just been incredible throughout this whole experience. Just like never stop smiling, and just that poem melted my heart. So yeah, sorry. So I'm Kieran. I'm an independent BCP councillor, and I recently became the Cabinet Member for Housing and Regulatory Services. When I was asked if I would say a few words about my experience on the Poverty Truth Commission, as well as our work as a task group looking into housing, I really didn't know where to start. It's been an incredible experience getting to know people who have faced tough times and had difficult periods in their life, but have come out the other side with a sense of humour, perspective, and most importantly, a passion to see things change for the better. It's been truly inspiring, and I feel grateful that I was asked to be involved this past year. After the first 6 months of building relationships, understanding each other's stories, and sharing our experiences, we as a collective agreed the 3 areas in which we wanted to see things change for the better. These were empowered communities, humanising the process, and last but certainly not least, housing and homes. We then split into groups to deep dive those issues. Naturally, I put myself forward to be part of the latter group. That is where I felt my experience was best put. First, we decided to discuss what a home meant to us and what a house needs to become a home. Not just the bricks and mortar, but the abstract feelings of being able to cook your favourite meal at night, falling asleep while listening to the radio, that wouldn't it be lovely kind of feeling that Rona brought up in her poem. to be safe and warm, and for it to be a place not detrimental to your health, both physically and mentally, and to feel secure without the fear of having to move on. And we all agreed that whilst in many cases these are luxuries that may take for granted, they should be a baseline and a minimum that everyone should expect. Together as a task group, supported by our fellow commissioners, we wrote a baseline, which should be on the screen now. Yep, perfect. And I'm just going to pause for a second and let you guys read that. Okay. I can see some faces looking at me, so it looks like you have. Just before I carry on, I just want you to raise your hand if you believe that everybody deserves this. There you go. Already we have the buy-in in the room that this is something that we should be aspiring to. So we are going to take this to social housing forum, homelessness reduction boards, private landlord forums, and encourage them to agree that this is a standard we should all aspire to. So then we discussed how we can make this happen. Some of those were through tangible, measurable things like making sure social landlords have a yearly resident survey, a clear complaints procedure, which is really important, and responding to mould and damp issues, as well as supporting the private sector to do the same. Then there was talk of the less measurable but equally important ways of making this happen, creating a culture shift of care and empathy through increased training, using community commissioner cases as a base, being more rational in the way we communicate, and aspiring to good housing and be accountable to that aspiration. There was also a feeling that we as a country must change our mentality towards housing from being a commodity to it being a human right. And nationally, we needed our collective voice heard, which is why it's brilliant that Alan has joined the Poverty Truth Network Private Renters Reform Coalition Working Group to feed in our thoughts. Try saying that twice.
No, I hate to think what the acronym is for that.
So yeah, these are a few of the things we've come up. I only touched the tip of the iceberg of what we discussed, but what we came out with were achievable goals and ways to make them happen. What was clear from our honest, frank, and sometimes difficult discussions is that everything starts at home. It's the foundation on which all of our lives are built, and every single person deserves to have a strong foundation on which to build their life. So although we have challenges, both locally and nationally, to make this happen, those challenges must be fought fiercely, and with the support of our amazing community commissioners and my fellow civic and business commissioners, I believe we can face them head on.
Kieran, thank you. So Sam, a year ago, I knew a little bit about your professional background, and I hope you won't mind me saying that we had a conversation just underneath that speaker there, and I could see that you were visibly moved by what you had seen in the presentation. So I'm delighted that a year on, I'm trying to tease out from you about the humanising the process and what's emerged from your group.
Thank you, Paul. I'm still being moved, and I was really struck by Debbie's powerful introduction to the day today. And Debbie, I felt your frustration, because we're now at the most critical stage in this process, which is about, so what are we actually going to do? How are we going to turn this deep listening? How are we going to turn these powerful relationships that we've developed between each other into proper action for change? I was privileged to be a member of the Humanising the Process Task and Finish group. And I think the first most important thing we did was we collected evidence from people's stories and developed what you could call it a charter, you could call it a checklist, but we got a very powerful description of how it feels when we're being treated as a human, when we're coming forward and stepping forward for care and support, and then some of the things that make us feel that the process has been less than human. And I think that's a really good starting point for starting to challenge our system, to challenge our leaders, to challenge our leadership teams and people working in frontline systems about how we can get back to embedding a culture that sees people as humans. And it's all too easy to see how we've ended up in a situation where some of these processes we've valued efficiency and effectiveness, and set up processes that have sometimes been in the interests of organisations rather than the people that we're trying to help. And it's not going to be an easy challenge, unwinding from this current situation where we find ourselves, frontline teams are under so much pressure sometimes that almost the first thing to go is the humanity in what we're dealing with. But most people don't want to treat people like that. Most people are honest, decent, caring. They went into the job to be able to provide that care and support. So between us, we have to find a way to create the time and the space for organisations to really focus on what matters to people and to really hear their stories. So some of the things that we're now working on, we had a whole range of ideas that came out of that task and finish group. We talked about training, designing a training offer for organisations so that organisations could hear and work directly with community commissioners to understand the things that we should be doing if we're going to run human processes and the things that we should absolutely avoid. We talked about bringing community commissioners into some of these leadership spaces so that they could meet leadership teams and tell their story to the leaders in our system. And when you put some of these ideas together, perhaps the idea that was most exciting to some of us was, what if we could build a social enterprise led by community commissioners that would bring that experience directly into our organisations and almost work as an equal partner in how we could improve care processes, how we could overcome some of those barriers, make accessing care and support far simpler than it's been to date, because that's what excludes people all too often. So one of my roles is I've been helping a team deliver the first integrated care strategy for Dorset, which sounds like a bit of a mouthful, but essentially at its simplest it means that we're thinking about how to join up care for people and to put people at the centre of those processes. And I think what's coming out of the Humanising the Process Task and Finish group is a brilliant opportunity to bring that into that work.
Brilliant, thank you. Guys. Thank you. I know that you are both really busy people, and I know that the energy and the commitment and time and insight you've brought into the process has been greatly committed. Once again, Kieran and Sam. If you can give Daisy the ice cream on your way down, Kieran, that would be grand. Thank you.
Brilliant. So there we have it. We have heard from our commissioners and their experience of this whole process and what is emerging from it. And as we said, this isn't a celebration that says, right, that's it, we're all done. This is a celebration that will continue as we go into our embedding phase. So in that, some of our commissioners would like to ask some things of you. Our friends in the audience. So I would like to invite Mel and Martin onto this bit of the stage, if you would like to come up. And while they're making their way up, I'd like to invite you to open up the envelope that's on your table, big white envelope, and pass around the contents to each person. Okay, I'd like to hand over to Mel and Martin.
Hi, thank you. I think that was a good example of I couldn't get up the steps and Martin helped me, which I think is a good analogy for today and what's going on. I think we've got the best job today because we've finally been given permission to do a call to action. What we're really keen for today is you've all come along, you've all listened to all these incredible stories and what we've learned. But actually what we want you to do is thanks, Ken. What we want you to do is act on that when you go away today. So Martin, you were going to share some thoughts with us first. Why is it important that everybody goes away today and does something and acts on what they've heard?
Well, like you just said, this is the crux of it. I mean, putting on an event like this is all very well, but unless action follows afterwards, and we all do something afterwards, to make a difference, then kind of all the planning and everything, it's for nothing unless something progresses from it, which is where you guys come in, because you can help us make a difference. We can all make a difference together, really, by giving each other the support that we need working as a team.
And what might that look like? What kind of things do you want people here today to go away and pledge, commit to, or do?
I would say giving everyone an equal chance. Part of my journey here as a volunteer from a disadvantaged background, me and a lot of the other volunteers, we just haven't had the same chances in life. A really good example of that, just because I've come from a disadvantaged background, doesn't mean that I haven't tried to better myself. I actually got a diploma at the Bournemouth University as a sports massage therapist, but for a long time just didn't do anything with it. Until I met a business leader who gave me my first job. His name was Richard, became good friends with him, and I got a job at Bourne Space. From then, I met other people, and that springboarded me to be able to use my qualification. So I now work as a physiotherapist, as a sports massage therapist, all because a business leader gave me a chance. So now I'm giving back because I'm not taking from the community like I used to. So by giving us a chance, it'll have a ripple effect. By giving us employment or a purpose, instead of taking and sponging off the community, we can give back. So everyone would benefit if there's less people in a marginalised situation. Does that make sense?
Makes absolute sense. It's amazing. Thanks, Martin. So as Daisy mentioned, you've all been given a packet of seeds that's on your table. The thing is with a packet of seeds is if you just leave that on the table when you leave today, it's just going to remain a packet of seeds. If you put it in your bag and a week later it's still sitting in your bag, then nothing's going to happen to that packet of seeds. So what we're going to ask you today, metaphorically, is to take away these seeds and think about where you're going to plant them, how you're going to nurture them. And even the step before that, what steps can you take to create the soil, to create the conditions and the space for these seeds to grow and to thrive into the big oak tree, into the big forest. So we're going to be asking you to make a pledge and make a commitment today that you stick to, that's about creating those conditions or about planting those seeds. And when we were planning this section, Debbie reminded us of a story, the starfish story. I don't know if anyone knows the starfish story. And I learnt it from Debbie a while ago, and her suggestion was for me to share it with you. So there's lots of versions of this story, as all great stories are, but the principle and the message behind it is always the same. There's an older man walking along a beach after a storm, and because of a storm, hundreds and hundreds of starfish have been washed up onto the beach, and he's making his way through all of these starfish, when right in the distance he sees a little boy picking up a starfish, walking down to the sea, throwing it back in, going back, picking up a starfish, walking down, throwing it into the sea. And the old man walks up to him and says, what are you doing? He said, well, I'm rescuing this starfish. And he said, but there are thousands of them. What difference is that going to make? And the little boy stops for a minute, picks up a starfish, throws it into the sea and says, well, it made a difference to that one. And that's what we're going to ask you to do today. So it's taking your seeds. It might feel that eradicating poverty is just too big for one person, that we don't know where to start. But if we all start with planting those seeds, then even just those of us in this room can have a massive impact.
Gail and Martin, thank you so much. So a little bit of information about the seeds. They are a wildflower meadow mix. Flowers and grasses that will nurture the soil and support our pollinators. Scatter them where you see them grow and perhaps keep the packet, stick it on your fridge as a little reminder. Please do fill out the pledge card. We'd love to know what you've been sowing and nurturing. We'll have a little box at the back where you can post them. And if social media is your thing, you can also share your seed pledge using the hashtag #PovertyTruthBCP. And if you've got some spares on your tables, take them and pass them on and share a bit of the Poverty Truth message. So, we're almost there. Before we close, I want to do a round of big thank yous. So, Community Commissioners have committed to this journey since March 2022, and Civic and Business Commissioners have committed to joining them since our launch in July 2022. You joined something new, you joined not knowing what to expect, you have thrown yourself into this process and trusted it. There are also commissioners who started the process, but for reasons that were important to them, weren't in a position to carry on. And we are really grateful to you two. Your involvement has helped us to bring us where we are now. So thank you. We are so grateful to everyone who has been on this journey. For however long, you have been real and open. You've told your stories in your own words. You have shared tears and laughter. You have encouraged and supported each other. And you've come onto this stage, not for one, but two great big events like this. And we all know we're going to be embedding into the future as well. So everyone, please join me in showing some appreciation with one big round of applause for the Poverty Truth Commissioners. Also, couldn't be done without a lot of supporters. So thank you for the Life Centre here today. Thank you to the Mayor of Bournemouth as well for joining us, and for Tobias Elwood MP for supporting us today as well. Thank you to Paul on stage with me being my glamorous host. And thank you to Johan, who is around somewhere filming and capturing this evening together. Thank you to our facilitation and support team, and thank you to all of the organisations and who are supporters and funders and providers of wildflower seeds, everything, who have supported this project. A big round of applause for them.
Partner in crime, Daisy, you've done a great job. Really good. If my wife was here, that she would ask you to stop filming because I'm going to have the last word. We really do want you to stay in touch. So as you've heard, there are ways of staying in touch on the back of your pledge cards. You can probably see them behind me. Please fill in your pledges and the seeds that you're going to take away with you. We'd love you to leave a note or word of encouragement for the commissioners. And while I know you're very busy people, there is over in the corner over there, there's a chance to just record a very brief vox pop.
It's this way.
Oh, it's moved. I looked at it and I thought, I put that there myself. Where's it gone?
It's over by the...
It's that side. Give us a wave over there. So seriously, if you can give a very brief vox pop, it'd be really useful. We may be able to use it way further down the line. So once again, thank you for joining us today to celebrate the Poverty Truth Commission in Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole. Good.
It's been a real experience to come here today, see all these stakeholders that are absolutely committed to solving poverty, tackling poverty, but aren't necessarily working together. The spirit in this room has been quite phenomenal to, rekindle a sense of urgency and determination to help those in need, to better coordinate activities and what we do here. So thank you very much indeed for including me. It's been fantastic.
Hi, I'm Susie. I'm a minister with Bournemouth Methodist Church here, but I'm actually from Brazil. And I was brought up with Paulo Freire's idea of giving voice to the poor. So to be here today and see all these amazing testimonies give me hope that this is the right way for BCP to go. And I would love to be more involved. And I will plant those seeds, believe me, and I'll come back for more. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sam. I work for the vaccination service at Dorset Healthcare. We have a health inequality team where we work with the community, and coming here today has really just invigorated everything that we try to do, and so I'm full of enthusiasm. It's a great event.
I've absolutely loved today's event. I knew nothing about it before I came, and I really want to go away and get some things underway in Bournemouth and to help. I can't do much, but I can help other people. I might be able to enable other people to do some things that will really make a difference within the community and to these amazing people's lives. I really, really think it. Congratulations to you all. Brilliant.
I found today inspiring because I know from kind of both directions in my work as a performer and as a designer that the future is listening, but knowing how to. And this is demonstrating how to do that, which is remarkable. Deeper listening. This is the future.